Amazon's annual Prime Day kicks off today, but according to merchants, customers might not be seeing the deals they may have hoped for. This due to rising shipping costs, higher advertising rates, scarce inventory is a big problem. Supply chain disruptions, of course, hit us, as well as the Suez Canal shutdown earlier this year, and a spike in COVID-19 cases that hit two of China's busiest ports. Those are issues as well. Joining me for a closer look at the, for now, two-day event and what we can expect is Daniel FLAX, Neuberger Berman Senior Research Analyst. And Daniel, I continue to say annual and two-day event, but isn't this the kind of thing that we're going to now see at least twice a year? So is it going to be now a four-day event?
That it could well be a four-day event, as you term it. But I think what's going to be important with this Prime Day and Prime Days going ahead is really this notion of obsessing on delivering a great customer experience and really empowering businesses, especially small and medium businesses, to engage with customers and deliver value to them. I think the other piece is when you think about the Prime membership, which is really at the heart of this day, is of course the video offerings that they give. They now have the MGM studio in the library as well. And thinking about the logistics here, really getting everything to you as quickly as possible. It's very powerful.
It's huge. And of course, during the lockdown, many of us became addicted to it. I'm almost a daily shopper there. I got a pair of baby sunglasses today, a rubber ducky, some Gosling's Black Seal rum, and 2 bottles of Pimm's. But I didn't really find many huge deals. I wasn't getting very many discounts today. Does Amazon no longer really have to give us that much in terms of price action?
They absolutely do need to deliver a lot and then some, Matt. And I think clearly Amazon and its suppliers, really globally, everyone is facing constraints. But as we think about the period now, certainly relative to 6 and 12 months ago, everyone is making progress. And that's really the key to the whole story here. As long as Amazon and its suppliers can deliver better and better or more and more in faster time over the coming months, that will be sufficient in my view. I think the other piece of it is you look at the Amazon devices, the Kindle, the Fire, anything with Alexa inside it. Those have attractive prices, and that really speaks to empowering and sort of building out their broader ecosystem. So still a lot to like here, even though you may not be getting every single deal that you're after.
All right, so, and by the way, I will give it to you as well that Prime is delivering more and more incredible content, from Catastrophe to Jack Ryan. I'm loving what I see there. But has this been priced in, Dan? I mean, from the bottom of the pandemic, they were trading at $1,600. Now we're looking at $3,500. That's a big run in just over a year's time. Is our growing addiction to Amazon already in the price of the stock?
Matt, I still see a lot of value over the next couple of years. And I say that because the e-commerce business clearly remains healthy. Growth will decelerate, of course, given the very strong growth over the past year. But they still have an enormous amount of opportunity in some of the newer areas like grocery. And clearly, what one takeaway for all of us is that e-commerce will be even more instrumental in our shopping and our consumption habits as we think about things over the coming years. The other piece of the story that really got a big boost during COVID and continues is the Amazon Web Services, their cloud platform. And there's been an acceleration or a catalyzing period here where all organizations look to digitize their infrastructures, and Amazon sits at the heart of this very powerful trend. The other piece I would mention is their advertising business, which is growing, helps merchants find customers. That's an important multi-year growth driver as well. So really a lot has changed over the past years, but I think the multi-year growth story ahead remains very attractive.
Can anyone compete, Daniel, with Amazon's customer efficiency? I mean, when I think about ordering products from websites that are going to take 5 or 6 days to deliver me my stuff, I shudder and immediately go back to Amazon. Is it possible that we see big competitors like Walmart or others get down to a 24-hour delivery period?
Matt, I do think it's possible. The environment remains incredibly competitive. And you cited Walmart, which has done a good job really making a lot of critical investments, which are enabling them to also deliver value to customers and capitalize on these trends. So I do think the environment remains very, very competitive. And part of how Amazon is responding to this and will continue to over the coming quarters and years is really changing the game. And so if you look at, for example, logistics, so they've built out infrastructure, their warehouses, their fulfillment centers. But of course, Amazon is investing in planes and delivery vehicles, building out a whole and empowering a whole network of people to deliver packages. So continuing to change the game, invest around people, around technology, around infrastructure. That, to me, coupled with a whole lot of innovation, is going to be critical for Amazon, but they're doing it. And so I think this remains attractive here.
Are you worried at all, Dan, about, it looks like governments will bend over backwards to tax them. The international agreement was going to be taxing any huge digital companies making more than 10% margins. And then they thought, wait a second, Amazon might not make that much. Let's change the rules so that we hit Amazon especially. And then what about regulation, antitrust regulation? I mean, when you talk about web services, I can only think of AWS and Microsoft. Nobody else does that kind of business.
So I think the scrutiny, the intense focus that's going on, Matt, is very much warranted for Amazon and other big platforms. I think given what these companies have been building, given the ecosystems that they've developed, I think scrutiny is merited. What I would say, though, is that you see a lot of industries, I'll use healthcare as an example, where regulation's really a part of the story, but companies are still able to innovate, to invest and deliver value to their customers despite that framework. And so I think regulation is going to be a bigger part of the industry. I think the antitrust scrutiny, we'll have to see how that plays out. What's important in my view is that companies like in Amazon are going to have to demonstrate an increased level of transparency around what they're doing. I think the industry needs to do that. But if they can deliver value to customers, continue to bring prices down, not raise them in many instances, there's still value. And I think most governments, most regulatory bodies would observe that Amazon and some of these other platform companies have really helped to catalyze an explosion of growth in new areas, such as the digital storefronts and workplaces that we're now all existing in. So a lot to like, but scrutiny is warranted.